joins us now from Pittsburgh. Lewis, first round gets all the buzz. Rounds 2 and 3 are when you can really build your roster. So which team in your mind improved the most tonight?
Yeah, Dave, I think the Las Vegas Raiders really did a nice job today, led by general manager John Spytek. They got some help on the defensive side of the football, starting with Arizona safety Trayden Stukes, who's really a safety/nickel defender, one of the best athletes in this draft. He can do it all. He can blitz, he can cover, stop the run. He can do it all. He can cover in man-to-man and zone. He's just a fantastic athlete. Kieran Crawford, an edge rusher from Auburn, another guy who's going to help out Mac. Play in a 2-point. He can play in a 3-point. Has a lot of just nice, flexible, athletic ability, a lot of explosiveness. They need that on the defensive line. And then lastly, Trey Zoon, the offensive lineman from Texas A&M, who's probably going to kick inside the guard. He can even play center. You got to protect your franchise quarterbacks. They have to get better along the offensive line. We all know this. They have to make sure they protect Fernando Mendoza. So those three players right there, they were all really good players this year. They all have really good athletic profiles, played the game the right way. I think the Las Vegas Raiders fan base is going to be really happy to see what these guys look like once they get on the football field.
All right. We know the Raiders have some holes. It sounds like they have filled some of them. The Eagles are kind of more in fine-tuning mode, and they're always busy. They made a trade in the first round yesterday, making another splash today, trading for and extending Vikings star edge Jonathan Greenard. What was your reaction to that move?
Look, this is what the Philadelphia Eagles do. They build their team front to back, meaning they take care of the offensive and defensive lines, and they love to have depth. Jonathan Greenard's a fantastic player. I mean, in 23 and 24 combined, when he was healthy and playing full seasons, this guy had 24.5 sacks. Just this past year in Minnesota, dealt with a little bit of a shoulder, didn't play the full season, but his pressure percentage was still amongst the top in the NFL. He is a dynamite edge rusher who has a lot of flexibility. That's something that Philadelphia has been known for years. Even going back to the days in the early 2000s, late 2000s when I was there, they wanted to stockpile pass rushers. They wanted to go ahead and see if they can add a guy to really give them some juice coming off of the edge. Jonathan Greenard does that for him.
All right, there you go. 3 rounds down, 4 to go tomorrow. Lewis there for all of it. And back in just a little bit to give us a day 3 player who could be a difference maker right away.
With a look at the folks that he has as his best available. McCoy, talented corner, just waiting to hear his name called. A bunch of SEC on there, I see. Mike Washington Jr. had his emotions, remember, at the Combine when he ran that great 40 time. Still a ton of players that are going to be starters, by the way, next year when they are drafted. Mel Kiper Jr. joins us now. Hey, how about a Terp pick last? Husky goes to Jacksonville. That's right in our neighborhood. As we welcome Mel Kiper Jr. And Mel, tonight the second round gets us started at 33. Were there some picks that you feel like teams got first round value maybe early in the second round?
Scotty, I thought Denzel Boston to Cleveland. They got Casey Concepcion in the first round, a slot receiver, punt returner. He's great after the catch, a bubble screen guy. Then you got Denzel Boston, big, 6'3.5", 212 pounds, 20 touchdown receptions over the last 2 years. Great red zone threat. Look at him here, the burst out of the break. He threw a touchdown past Scotty at 12 yards. He had a punt return for a touchdown. Denzel Boston will go get the football, the catch radius. Shedeur Sanders now has a slot guy who can get yards after the catch, and Casey Concepcion, and a big receiver, and Denzel Boston can throw it up to, and guess what? He'll catch it. Browns had a lot of drops. Hey, Denzel Boston has really good hands.
Speaking of wideouts, when you were on with me ahead of the draft, Mel, you mentioned Chris Brazzell, a talented wideout from Tennessee, goes to Carolina in, I believe it was round 3. The fit there, what do you think with what the NFC South reigning champs get in this talented wideout?
I'll tell you, he's got a skill set that you just don't see. It's rare. 6'4", runs 4.37. Scott, they were saying he'll run 4.45, 4.48, ran 4.37. Well, Tennessee receivers, they have him outside. It's the system of Josh Heupel. That's why he was successful. We'll go back and look at the Tulane tape. When he was with the Green Wave, he was making equally as many big plays down the field. Chris Brazzell II is a talent. And to get him where they did, I thought he was a steal. I thought at one point he could be a late one, early two. And you're getting a guy here who is a nightmare for a smaller cornerback to deal with. So Chris Brazzell II, we saw Zachariah Branch go to bargain point. We have some good receivers still on the board, like Brennan Thompson out of Mississippi State, one of the faster players in the draft. Wish he had more than just one punt return, Scott. But Brennan Thompson's going to be a nice day 3 pick, as will Skylar Bell from Connecticut, and a host of other receivers and tight ends, H-backs.
Speaking of tight ends, shout out to my guy Stanford Steve Mel. It felt like every other pick tonight was either from Texas A&M or a tight end, and a number of teams that I feel like have already got crowded and talented tight end rooms took more tight ends. Does that speak to a philosophical shift in the league, the talent at the position this year, maybe a combination? What do you think?
I think it was the combination of just the talent coming together. I thought there were 23 F's and Y's. That's H-backs, move tight ends, and inline guys that could be drafted or draftable. And we still have a lot of those guys still on the board right now. Justin Jolie at NC State, a talented football player, right? We have Josh Cuevas at Alabama still on the board. So to me, you're going to see Tanner Koziol from Houston, talented athlete as well. But you had guys like Max Clare, came from Purdue to Ohio State. You had Will Kazmarek go from Ohio to Ohio State, right? So they're playing at the Buckeye program. They're getting it done. Kazmarek is a blocker. Guy like Max Clare, I want to see a little bit more juice out of him moving forward with the Rams. He's got a chance because he flashed it. I want to see more consistency. So the numbers spoke volumes. And they ended up taking these guys, Scott. And guess what? There's some still, as I say, some really good H-backs and tight ends on the board. Here we are in day 3 coming up tomorrow morning.
All right, some quarterbacks to ask about on the way out in Beck and Allar. And Beck was, I guess polarizing would be a term, but I mean, the guy played a national championship game and helped get him there with that win against Ole Miss. And Allar, we know, a disappointing senior season at Penn State, I should say, where he got injured. What do you think of the fits there and where they went? Is this about right?
Love the fit for Carson Beck and Drew Allar. Now, will they be able to get it done? Drew Allar's got to fix the accuracy, Scott. There were games where you say, "Boy, how can you not make that throw?" He just made a beautiful throw, comes back and does it. Even against Villanova, waited until the end of the first half to see him really start to get it together. So the inconsistency, the accuracy against some good teams. He was around 60% those final 4 games the previous year. Then, of course, he got hurt this year where he had some inconsistencies even then. But he's got the physical talent. He's got the want to. He can beat you with his legs. Like I say, he throws the ball. Some beautiful throws on target. Just basically bottle that. Bottle it, Scott. If you can remain consistent with Allar in that regard, you got something. For Carson Beck to go to Arizona with his frame, the way he came through at Miami, he delivered for Mario Cristobal, and he had that talent around him, which helped. You had that fortress of an offensive line, Fletcher running the football, and Tony, the outstanding freshman, but he made some really good throws. I thought he was very, very say opportunistic. By this I mean, Scott, he took what the defense gave. He didn't try to force it down the field when it wasn't there. He wasn't greedy. The check down, get the ball in the hands of your receivers. You see him here. Use the legs. They wanted him to. He didn't much at Georgia. He did a little more of that at Miami. He went toe-to-toe with Fernando Mendoza, right, in that championship game. Unfortunately, interception late. So there's a lot to work with Carson Beck. I think he learned a lot from the Georgia days, came to Miami with an attitude to become more of a leader. And the teammates, the coaching staff really bought into it because the work ethic of Carson Beck right now is second to none. I like the pick for Arizona at the top of round 3.
There are a lot of talented people in the draft space, but this is the king right here. It's 11-16, and he's shot out of a cannon. You got info. You could keep ripping until midnight without a commercial break. I know you could. I just don't know how you're going to make it till tomorrow at noon. We're going to start with round 4. You're ready to go right now. Mel Kiper Jr., the best there is, my man. Thank you for taking the time tonight, all right?
Hey, Scotty. Take care, pal.
Come on. All hail the king. All right, 2 more quarterbacks taken Friday. We just talked about them. In Carson Beck, first pick in the 3rd round. 11 picks later, the Steelers take Keystone State guy, Drew Allar. Neither are ranked in the top 100 of overall prospects. And about some day 2 picks, some familiar names. Clemson corner, Terrell, sound familiar? He joins his brother, A.J. Terrell, in Atlanta. A.J. taken 16th overall in 2020. Avion goes 48th on Friday. Philadelphia stays busy. They send the number 98 pick in this year's draft and a 3rd rounder next year to the Minnesota Vikings for a linebacker, Jonathan Greenard, who then agreed to a 4-year, $100 million extension with Philly. Just happened to be at the Sixer game. What a coinky-dink that happened to be. Kevin Clark is back with us in studio. And let's start right there with Philly. It's the Greenard trade and who they took in the draft. We've reached the point now where with Roseman and the Eagles, it feels like everything's anointed. Everyone just goes, oh, yeah, that was good. Does it fit based on what they did in the draft and with this Greenard change?
First of all, are you alleging conspiracy? He just happened, maybe he's just a big Sixers fan and happened to be not only at the game, but ready to give interviews at halftime and, according to beat reporters, at the facility earlier today. So, yes, this seemed like a plan here to get Greenard in the fold in Philadelphia. This is just good business. This is a classic Howie Roseman move. They lose Jalen Phillips in free agency. They tried to keep him. He's gone. He goes to Carolina. So they bring in a guy who not only led the Vikings in pressures, which is significant because they pressure a lot of quarterbacks, but he also got a huge percentage of those in under 2.5 seconds, which means basically he has undeniable pressure. When he's in front of a quarterback, it's quick, and the quarterback has to get rid of the ball, and he feels it. So I'm just looking at this, and I'm saying this is good business. This is they immediately have the 4-year, $100 million deal already signed. It's just what they do. They always have a plan. Nobody embraced Philadelphia like Howie Roseman. They trust the process here.
So Philadelphia's earned that rep. They've proven it. They've got the track record that says this team does smart things. Cincinnati might be the polar opposite.
Yeah.
However, as you and I are sitting in the room tonight, you're nodding your head. You're liking what you're seeing. What are you prepared to say about what Cincinnati has done and what it makes them?
Right now, as we sit here, Scott, I think that the Cincinnati Bengals are my favorite to win the AFC.
Did you hear the man?
Because I'm looking around the landscape. So let's just talk about what they've done last week.
Yeah, why?
Pick 10 for Dexter Lawrence, the most double-teamed human on earth. He can't walk down the street without a guard and a center trying to rough him up, okay? He still gets to the quarterback despite that. And then today, Cassius Howell, a guy I really liked. He's another one of these guys who has short arms. It's not going to matter, just like a bunch of these guys in this draft. And then Tacario Davis, a 6'4" cornerback who can run and be physical. But when I think about the Bengals, I think about a team that just needs to be average on defense. That's how I wake up every day and say, just be average. And that's what the Bengals defense has to do. And if they're the 15th best defense in football, they can get to the Super Bowl with Joe Burrow. In a landscape, and that's part of the reason that they made the trade to begin with Dexter Lawrence, in a landscape where we don't know about the Bills this year. We don't know about the Ravens. The Chiefs, obviously, if Patrick Mahomes come back from injury. There's a lot in flux here, Scott. So if you can have an undeniable side of the ball, which the Bengals have, you don't need much on defense, and I think they got there.
Well, I mean, just be average on defense.
Mediocre.
There you go. All right, so you're saying Cincinnati is your favorite in the AFC. There's a lot of folks that would say the Rams are their favorite in the NFC, could play a home game again in the Super Bowl. What are they doing?
Great question. I don't know. So last night with Jeremiah Love, I said, love the player, hate the pick. With the Rams, I'm going to twist that. Love the team, hate the draft. And by the way, they might win the Super Bowl. And all of these guys that we talk about, and I think they're probably the NFC favorite in my book, but all these guys, there was Ty Simpson, Max Clare, they might be hoisting Lombardis, and we're saying, okay, whatever. But I just look at they could have doubled down on so many different positions this year. And yet, they go with Ty Simpson at 13, which I think complicates a lot of things with succession planning with Matthew Stafford. You obviously could have gotten a good player at 13 for this year. Lemon being one of them, absolutely. You could have gotten a lot there. They reached for Simpson. They could have gotten him later, but let's put that aside. Then Max Clare, the tight end, you have, for this year, 3 tight ends who are ready to play right now. A couple of them are on multi-year deals. I just didn't see the plan behind the pick. Now you went from you can get somebody to help you in 2026 to we need stadium seating in the tight end room because we got so many bodies in there. I don't really know where we're headed there. So nothing changes about how I feel about the 2026 Rams. They're still the NFC favorite to me. But I just think in 3 years might be saying, man, there's a lot of value left on that board.
And then they took a tackle from Missouri that had us both going, man, Missouri had a lot of pros and they went in the first 3 days, right?
There were a lot of teams like that. I mean, we talked about Texas A&M earlier, and they made the playoffs, and obviously were better than Missouri last year. But, man, you look at these drafts and you say, hey, man, I'm feeling different about some of these teams. Missouri is one of them. I mean, you're talking about Zion Young, Josiah Trotter went, obviously. I mean, they were stacking talent in Columbia, Missouri.
I asked you about Barham out of Michigan, and you're like, I don't know. And he went day 2. It just makes me feel
Ball
good.
knower.
Hashtag. There's a hashtag in front of that. Hashtag ball knower.
You know, I believe my exact phrase was, I don't know if he's a top 100 guy. Wrong.
Who knew this? Who has 2 thumbs and knew that? This guy. More coming with you in just a bit. Kevin Clark, great to have him here. Night takeout, and it is that time. Kyle Brandt in Pittsburgh, but as I look behind you, I'm trying to connect the dots. I love a dive bar. Where are you?
We're doing takeout, but we're dining in, SVP. My Iron City.
Love it.
I have my cap. I'm sitting here at the OG Primanti's at the bar, ready to eat, ready to talk draft. I'm not coming on SVP from a crappy hotel room. I'm with the people, with the Yinzers, with the food, with the French fries, with Leonard Nimoy over my shoulder, Mr. Spock. And I'm in a great mood right now talking draft with you. Can you believe how cool is this? I'm at the bar.
Don, every bit of it's great. I'll give you a chance to chew. And the draft has become truly like a summer festival. It is a roving band of hundreds of thousands of NFL fans. You've been part of it on stage, eating a wing, doing a draft pick. The vibes in Pittsburgh, what have they been like?
Rust Belt Coachella. Unbelievably cool. Scott, I'm telling you, I've been to Coachella, and I've been here, and I prefer this. I like this. There's no Vanessa Hudgens walking around in a sunflower in her hair, but it's great. There's Steelers fans everywhere. And what I love about the vibe, Scott, I've been to a lot of drafts. I always love the pick that happens that makes the theater gasp. I was in 2018. I was at Jerry World. They took Baker #1. The whole place gasped audibly. And last night, we got the gasp pick. And it was Ty Simpson. Just like everybody, you could hear the place kind of shake a little bit. You could hear the gasp. The PR of it is fascinating. We love Sean McVay. I adore Sean McVay because he's a football Labrador. He's positive. He's going team. He gets that in an interview after drafting the future franchise quarterback, is tense, cursed, and then gets on the phone with the young man, Scott, who is weeping, saying, let's make history, coach. Yeah, all right. Anyway, why is he doing that? It's so not McVay. And so we know two things for sure. He wanted to draft him. He was on board with drafting him, but they wouldn't have gotten him. I think, Scott, there is a relatable energy that pertains to Matthew Stafford. I think the energy that McVay was putting out was, follow me on this, I bet you can relate. When you're at a guy's weekend or a portion of your life that you're at a bachelor party and you do the check-in call with your wife and you insist it's a terrible, miserable weekend, you're not having fun, you can't wait to come home and be with her. I think he's got some of that going on with Matthew Stafford, and that's the best theory that
it's as good as any, but I'm a McVay guy, and when McVay's just sitting in with, I don't know, man, good luck, have a good time tonight, but whatever. I mean, that wasn't it, man. I don't know if it was performative because of the Stafford piece. I buy that, but it was baffling because I think McVay typically doesn't hit home runs. He hits grand slams when it comes to media availabilities. That felt like a swing and a miss, like maybe a strikeout even.
Let's make history is something that McVay would say. He would stencil that on the weight room. He has it on his mouse pad. That's McVay talk right there. Through tears of joy. He had this Dexter-like detachment for the young man that I don't have a good theory other than he's thinking of Matthew Stafford. He's trying to think of the home front, and we're going to get into it. He's got to talk again. We're going to get Stafford. Did I tell you how ice cold this Iron City is? I'm in such a good mood.
How about take a swig of it? Take a swig of it so I don't have to stare at the coleslaw in your mouth. For God's sake.
Well, Scott, on the topic of coleslaw,
we're on television.
Your name is mud in these parts.
I'm
Tell
well
the
aware.
people what your deal is with the coleslaw.
I don't want it on a sandwich. It's not on the sandwich. When you say don't put it on the sandwich, they go, it comes on the sandwich. And I say, not if you don't put it on the sandwich. And then they look at me like I'm not the one paying for the sandwich. Just don't put it on the sandwich. How hard is this? I'm not being the jerk here. I'm really not.
They're still talking about it.
I bet.
Now Herbstreit is not allowed here either. So you guys are both banned. News for you too, Scott.
Hey, I like
asked
Pittsburgh
for the
a lot.
slaw on the side.
Good. Yeah,
they gave it to me, no problem.
Yeah,
no problem.
Good.
It's no
you
problem.
Have fun.
It's wet confetti sitting in cold glue, and they gave it to me on the side. I think maybe because of my jacket. My stylist is Jim Leland, and they liked it. But they're still talking about you here.
Did he give you a butt? Just go with it. Jim Leland give you a dart. All right.
Oh, yeah. Jimmy smokes. Just handed me a Camel.
All right. I got one I love for you. I'm sure you're with me. I love the emotion of this night. Ruben Bain on the phone with Light with Tampa is awesome. God. It's tears. But then, Kyle, He flips a switch. He doesn't pause for the hat. He gives you a little of this as he's walking out. We go from the tears to give me the hat to what's up. I don't want to hear how long his arms are anymore. They're long enough to pick up a friggin' Lombardi if the time comes. I'm all in on Bane. I feel like you're with me.
My favorite player in the first round, my favorite moment of the first night. He didn't even hesitate at the stand.
No.
And at the end, Van Pelt, you mentioned the interview. This man says, I love my teammates. If they're not my teammate, I hate them. Now, that sounds like a Batman villain. And what's his last name? Frickin' Bane. I love this guy.
And you're in Pittsburgh, so the whole thing comes together. I want to close with this. Next year, let's workshop this. It's in D.C.
Yes.
What kind of hijinks can we get into? Because, I mean, this is my hometown. I'm ready for whatever you're up for.
I'm going where you're going. Where do you have an open tab, Ben Pelt? I will be there. I promise. What is it? The old Ebbett Grill, all these political places, K Street? You tell me.
That, Cafe Milano, but I got bad news for you. There's no coleslaw at Cafe Milano, okay? There's just a piece of veal the size of a manhole cover, all right? Some cacio e pepe. Yeah, have that. Have your confetti. Keep it moving. Wash it down with the suds. I love Pittsburgh. I just don't want coleslaw on my sandwich. It doesn't make me the villain, all right?
I'll tell you what makes you the victim of the villain. And I got one more thing for you,
Go
okay?
ahead.
You and I have been doing this long enough that we now have a running joke on the show. It's like Paul Rudd when he plays the Mac and Me clip on Conan. Run the clip of Scott and run the clip at the table. You're sitting there. You put the hand out. You get left hanging. All right, it's fine. We've covered this before. And you're saying no new ground here. I disagree. That is the hermanito of Fernando, fully left hanging, Scott. So now he has looked past you and your plexical burris-like frame, but he's also looked past Wes Welker on the far left, who got hanging twice. What is your advice to the young man, and do you have empathy for the kid?
I mean, it happened to me. The only reason that I wasn't left hanging is because Reese Davis gave him the thing. Reese is like, no. You got to. You got to dap up the thin man over there. See, why do you keep showing this? You know what? I'd rather I started to say I'd rather eat coleslaw. I wouldn't. I'd rather that's fine with me. But the little guy that didn't get dapped, but he was really smooth with it. Put the coleslaw down. Put the coleslaw down.
Speaking of smooth, look, it's all peppery and oily and delicious.
Just repulsive. Kyle Brandt, ladies and gentlemen, he's coming to
look at the
DC
locals.
next year.
This is my man, Dwight. He's a Steelers fan. Dwight, show off the tattoo. Show off the tattoo. That's a real Steelers fan right there. Yes, sir.
There we go.
Get over there. We go.
There
Thank you, Scott.
we go. This has been
I appreciate you. I love you, Dwight, too.
All right, Kyle, you're the best. Be well, brother.
You're the best.
Iron City. See you, pal. And Kevin Clark remains in studio. The brothers being together. So I have two sons. Like, they play in the driveway. The idea that they would play professionally on the same team is just astounding. That's really cool. Wide open spaces here to fill with what you really like that the Jets have done. Not things that are often said.
Yeah.
But when you talk about culture shifts, how do you go about doing that?
You got to get guys who are going to do it. It comes from the locker room, and that's why I love what they've done with two picks in particular, both from Bloomington, Indiana. They took D'Angelo Pons, who, I interviewed a bunch of Indiana guys over the past couple weeks. They all said not only can D'Angelo Pons play in the NFL, who's obviously a second-round pick, we know that. He can play on the outside. He can play on the inside. He can probably play linebacker. He can do it all. He's a dog, and so the Jets bring him in, not only to change the culture, but to play cornerback. By the way, Aaron Glenn, the head coach, an undersized cornerback who had an awesome career based on toughness and know-how. And then you talk about Omar Cooper Jr., a wide receiver. I just am looking in this and I'm saying the Indiana guys had the biggest culture change maybe in the history of sports, Scott.
Not maybe. They had the worst record ever before
and they won the national championship. So what better locker room to import into Florham Park, New Jersey, where they practice, than the Bloomington, Indiana Kurt Cignetti one. I just think it's perfect. I really like what the Jets have done with this draft capital. I know that sometimes, I know Jets fans have been burned by saying this is the time, and obviously they need a quarterback to complete it, but it feels like, at least from a roster standpoint, they're going in the right direction here.
And Gino, at least you have a guy who last year is throw it away. That O-line in Vegas was a catastrophe. You're at least getting a competent professional to play quarterback as a bridge until the future quarterback arrives. Now, the Detroit Lions have the sexy already, right? They've got the skill guys everybody knows. They're on all your fantasy teams. They have suffered some significant losses up front in the trenches, particularly on that offensive line. What have they managed to do? and these first couple of nights in the draft that you like?
They brought the trenches back, which is the most important part. Their identity went away over the past 18 months. And it was not noticeable. It's not like losing a quarterback or losing a skill guy, but Frank Ragnow retires. Taylor Decker goes away. And all of a sudden you go from a strength to, in some games, a weakness because of health, just because guys are getting older. And so they bring in Blake Miller from Clemson yesterday. Tonight they bring in Derek Moore, an edge rusher out of Michigan. Aiden Hutchinson's fired up. But they're starting to get their identity back piece by piece. And I think you're going to see more of what we saw from the Detroit Lions 2 or 3 years ago with these tough guys. I mean, I think that there was so much talk about toughness over the past few years that we just assumed they were going to be a big physical tough team. But roster-wise, they've gotten away from that a little bit. This is a return to that. I love what they're doing. As far as contenders that help themselves, they're at the top of my list.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a team that's a contender from Houston, speaking of big and physical. We got to see them on the road twice in the playoffs. The defense is horrifying, and it gets better.
Hayden McDonald was crying.
Yeah, he was.
And guess what? Offensive coordinators all fall long are going to be crying just like that.
How does he help them? What does he do?
So he's huge, first of all. That helps. Big people beat up little people.
He's a large man.
He's a large man. We saw that. But also, he's a run stuffer. I mean, you saw it, right? Bang, right there. Good luck running towards him. So you add in a guy who eats up space, eats up running backs. Then you have the edges. Then you have D'Amico Ryan's scheme. Then you have a secondary, and a back four that just can do anything, play tight coverage, catch picks, whatever they want him to do. This seems like the perfect defense on paper. I mean, I heard it said earlier tonight. He's going from the best defense in college to the best defense in the NFL. Guess what? He's going to make both of those factions better. So I just think that there's so much to like about this pick, especially in the second round. It was a great value. It could have been midway through the first round there. So I love the value. I love the pick. And I'm not trying to be flippant about this. C.J. Stroud makes a lot of mistakes. And what you're trying to do right now is, first of all, you get Rutledge, the guard, who's going to help. That was in round 1. I love the player. I love the value there. But if he has another nightmare game like he did against New England, they're going to win next time because of that defense, okay? The margin for error for C.J. Stroud is going to grow. Hopefully he gets right, and hopefully he comes back to what he did a couple of years ago. And by the way, if he was ever rookie C.J. Stroud again, they'd win the darn Super Bowl pretty easily with what the defense is. But I just start to see this defense coming together in a way that the next time he has a nightmare game, they're going to be able to say, I got you.
All right. Ready for some important journalism?
Absolutely.
All right. Let's talk about Logan Jones. That was one of Stanford Steve's superlatives, by the way. He wanted Baltimore to get him. He replaced one Iowa Center for another. But he was the 57th pick going to Chicago. Part of that Joe Moore award-winning line. I said Iowa people would rather win the Joe Moore Award than win the Powerball. And our producer confirms true. Crops, America needs farmers. But as the 57th pick, he receives free catch-up for life. Now, he's what, 24? I don't know his children's situation. You and I both are in a situation where we have young children. You hear free catch-up for life and you think, well, how big a deal might that be? Oh. Children, at least mine, go through an astounding amount of ketchup. Yours as well?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the fries, the chicken nuggets. I mean, first of all, ketchup can go on anything if you're 3 years old. They just throw it on there. I will say, going to the Bears, isn't it just completely out of the question to put ketchup on a hot dog?
Not in Chicago, it's not.
Okay, so we're going to see how that develops there. He's going to have a lot of ketchup. He's going to have to get creative on how he's going to be able to use it here.
All right, again, important journalism. We weighed in on coleslaw earlier. Where are you on hot dogs with all the stuff all over it? Because in Chicago, they want you to put the relish and all sorts. Where are you on that? Because I'm a strict mustard, the end on dogs.
Oh, no, you got to put ketchup on there.
Oh, God.
Ketchup and mustard. What do we stand for, Scott? Ketchup and mustard.
We live in a society, and we put mustard on a hot dog, and we call it a day.
You put ketchup in there. It's the holy trinity: the meat, the ketchup, the mustard. I don't see how this is weird.
Listen, you know what? As I've grown older, don't yuck someone else's yum. You know what I mean? If you like, you're right for you. And if you want to put ketchup,
embrace debate, Scott.
Well, it's not what we do on this show. On this show, I just say you're an idiot, and off you go. I want to tell you, thank you for taking the time to come down here. It's a blast to watch this with you because you're really, really good at this. In this space, you're on the top shelf of what's going on, and you continue to get better. So